Hey everyone, welcome back to Poplar Preparedness. We got some big news happening out there. The railroad strike has been officially canceled. The government has stepped in and said, you don't get to come to a negotiated settlement anymore. We're just going to dictate the terms of the 5-year contract right off the bat. Here it is. And the government is now deciding how much people should work for and whether they're allowed to strike or not. And the answer is they're not allowed to strike. President Joe Biden has just signed that into law, so the strike is off, at least the formal strike. Whether there will be workers who are going to resist this governmental control by slowing things down and stuff like that, that remains to be seen. But this really does bode very poorly when we have the government interfering into corporations and their workers. When they can't come to a settlement, the government's just going to step in and say, this is how much you should work for. When they say, this is what your benefits will be, private corporations being dictated to by the government as to what they will pay, what they won't pay. This is a scary precedent, that is for sure. We're going to jump into some of that, of why this is going to be a pretty big deal going forward. This video is brought to you by Genesis Gold Group. And if you have an IRA or 401k and it's locked into the stock market and it's going up and down, and you want to get into something more stable like precious metals, silver, gold, platinum in a vault, you know, physical is always better in your hand, but if it's an IRA or 401k and you can't pull it out for tax purposes, this is the next best thing. If you are interested in talking to someone about that, please do call Jonathan. You can find him down in the description down below. Genesis Gold Group, him and his team would love to talk with you about that. Mention this channel and you will be, all your setup fees will be waived. So that's a great deal there too. So why is this such a big deal? First off, the railroad strike is a massive deal. That would have really caused a lot of chaos and pandemonium out there. The White House is now saying that they would think that 360-some thousand people would be instantly out of work if the railroad strike had happened. And so because of that, they had to step in and use tyrannical controls. And so they did. And Congress just said, we're going to start dictating rules about how much people get paid in private companies. Now, like I said, the strike being off is a big deal, and that's a good thing, right? That's going to help out the supply chains. The train strike would have just decimated our supply chains when they're already weak. In addition to that, however, though, on the negative side, we have this dictating to people what they can and cannot do with their own money. So it's supposed to be that if I'm an employer, I can negotiate with my employees an acceptable arrangement. And now they're saying that if they don't like that arrangement, they can just step in and just renegotiate it for us. And right now, since they basically took the employer side, they took the corporation's side and basically threw one little carrot on there about some paid sick leave. But other than that, they dismissed everything else, including the safety restrictions that the employees were seeking. The rail companies are trying to get it so that right now you have to have 2 people on each locomotive, each train, but they're trying to get it down so they can get by with just 1 person on the train, which is a huge safety hazard. Go watch a train movie, train disaster movie, and you'll get some idea of inflated, perhaps, the problem with that. But a train under power of 1 person, what happens if they fall asleep? What happens if they have a heart attack? What happens if something happens to this person? What happens if they get off the train and they do make a mistake and they don't set the brakes or whatever, and they get stuck off the train? Who's in control of that train? We have a lot of trains going around the country, and they carry a lot of stuff, that's for sure. And we really need some security safeguards. I mean, when you look at the airline industry and just the ridiculous safeguards that are just one on top of the next on top of the next, but then you look at the train sector, and it's just like the regulations seem to be very sparse. And these companies have been playing with these rules and regulations more and more as the days have gone on, as the years have gone by. They have started to adopt the just-in-time delivery systems and implemented it for trains. And that has really caused trains to get a lot longer. They have over double the number of cars on average on a single train as they did about 10 years ago. And that's intentional. The trains are longer, they're moving slower, and all this with the same number of people on the train. And they're trying to cut the number of people on the trains. The people that are working these trains, a lot of times they're not getting much sleep. They're not getting the rest that they need. Truckers have very highly regulated amounts of time that they need to rest between driving, but trains do not have such regulations. And so all this kind of stuff coming to a head has allowed the rail corporations to really just push the people working on the trains, particularly conductors, to work extended and crazy hours. Now, they do get paid a lot, that's for sure, but they also work a lot, and they work away from home a lot, and the skills they have are and from everything I'm hearing from the unions and such is that it is not so much a money issue as it is the vacation time, the crazy scheduling. That's making it just unlivable for a lot of these people working in the industry. And that's really an issue that can't be solved by some government, dictating some sick days or 24% increase of their pay over 5 years. If you do the math on that, is that keeping up with inflation? The answer is no. No, it's not keeping up with inflation. Not even government supplied numbers for inflation it's not keeping up with. And so you can understand how this just, every time that they keep trying to go to strike, the government keeps stepping in saying, you're not allowed to strike. Oh, you have to go through this other process. You have to file this other form. Oh, okay, well, we've made a tentative deal between you and your leaders who don't necessarily represent you, who sometimes get paid off and are involved politically. Those people have made a tentative deal, so the whole clock has reset, so you can't go on strike again. And so it's just like time after time. They've been trying to go on strike for almost a year now. And the thing is, every time they try to go on strike, they keep getting blocked by more red tape and governmental restrictions. And it just seems like if I were in their shoes, I would be very, very, very upset. And it sounds like, from what we're hearing from folks within the railroad industry, a lot of railroad workers are very upset. And a lot of the ones who voted for this deal mostly just wanted all this drama to stop. They didn't think it was a good deal necessarily, they just wanted the drama to stop. And they were just feeling a lot of pressure to make it stop. And that's kind of where a lot of it went. So that's just kind of my take on it. Some of you are in the railroad industry, if you're watching this video, potentially, and other people out there who have friends, family members who work in the railroad industry. So maybe you have more insights. Please do share those down in the comments down below. But what industry next are they going to step in and say, you don't have the right to strike, you don't have the right to negotiate, we're just going to dictate the terms of your employment? That's a scary kind of thing to kind of see them do that. Are they going to do that to the airline pilots next? Are they going to do that to nurses next? Are they going to do that to other, police and whatever? That's a serious question out there. All right, folks, thank you so much for watching. Please do let us know in the comments what you know about things. And I'll see you guys later. If you want to check out another video from me, there's one right here. Otherwise, Steve Poplar out.